to Nick's garage and Nick's in-depth rebuild series on his original numbers matching 440 Magnum from his fully restored 1970 Dodge Challenger RT 4-speed. In the first episode, Nick showed us how he takes a bare block, fresh from the machine shop, and begins a rebuild. Nick shared loads of real-world tips and secrets as he took us through the assembly of the short block. Now, Professor Nick is back in the engine room and ready to move ahead with this iconic muscle car engine build.
Hi, I'm Nick and welcome back to my shop. Okay, I left off here yesterday. I showed you guys how the crank goes in and the piston and everything. So what I've done right now is I installed the other 7 pistons in the same manner we did with cylinder number 1, which I've shown you guys. And I installed one cylinder head and I have the other one out. But I want to show you what it takes to install valves in a cylinder head. But first, let me mention something that I forgot. Before you guys wash a block, because I sent it out and got it bored out. When you get it bored out, in many cases, you get a sharp ridge, or should I say a sharp edge right here. So I did something which I did not show. Before I washed it, I passed the sandpaper on a 45 degree like so, like this, so that it removes the sharp edge. That prevents that new piston ring, when it gets compressed, to lower it into the cylinder. You don't want to chip away the ring as it enters into the bore. So by passing sandpaper, you're putting a little radius on it. It makes it much smoother for the ring to enter in the cylinder bore. So then after that, you can wash the block. Okay, so now that I've got the other 7 pistons in, I got the cylinder head. Let me show you guys. Now, we did a valve job on this. This is the cylinder that belongs to my engine. But before I install it, I wanted to show you guys what it takes. We've got the exhaust valve right here. Okay, I'm going to show you how this is all done. I've got all new valves from Melling. I got all new keepers from Melling. These are called keepers, for you guys to know, or retainer locks. So I've got a brand new valve here from Melling that supplied us with. It's a 45 degree seat. And then the cylinder head, we had to do a valve job. On the exhaust, we have a 3-angle valve job. If you guys take a good look, there's a 3-angle valve job there. And we did a little bit of bowl blending just to smooth it out a bit. And on the intake valve, which is a much bigger valve, we did a 5-angle valve job. You know, I had Manny work on the machine we have in the shop, and Manny likes to work with it, and he's done all the valve jobs here in my shop, and he's put a 3-angle valve job on this. We have a special cutter that we made, also a 5-angle cutter for the intake valve and a 3-angle cutter for the exhaust valve. And the valve only has, of course, the 45. Here we got a back cut, inner cut, and of course a 45 seat. So this is what I started with. Oh, and I also wanted to say another thing. I also want to show you guys that we also cut this valve guide on the top for a Viton seal like so. You know, the original seals are umbrella type, but today's cars, all of them have a Viton seal with a spring like so. So the cylinder head, as you can see, is being trimmed to fit this. So let me show you how it's done. But first, let's measure spring pressure. We have a hydraulic flat tappet cam. So the spring pressure we're looking for is, on the seat, we're looking for roughly 120 pounds. This is for a hydraulic flat tappet. Now this is a simple engine. It's not going to be a high revving engine. It's got a flat hydraulic camshaft with about a 460 lift. And I want an open pressure of 230 to 280 pounds of spring pressure at open. So my install height on this is a 1.875 or 1.870, okay? How do I get these numbers? This is how you do it. I get some Melling lube and I put this on my valve stem. I do it like so. I put it in place like so, put it in. And now we put our tool to measure our installed height. So this is a tool that measures the installed height. So now you got to put the valve in place, put this at the shortest range, install the retainer, install the locks, then adjust it to open it at 0 slack, and then that's going to give us our spring installation height. So here it goes. Okay, then we put in our tool. I get my retainer, Right here, the factory retainer. Now we are not installing shims yet. I'll tell you the reason why. And we do this. Okay, I don't know if you guys could take a good look. I'm installing the locks or the keepers, like so. Then I open up the adjuster. And let me just tilt the head over. There we go. I tightened that up. There's our installed height. It's about 1.875. See, no play. 1.875. So it's just about almost 2 inches. So this tool measures at 2 inches, and so does my spring compressor. My down indicator starts at 2 inches. So we have an installed height of 1.875. So what we need here is to subtract from 2 inches 125 thou, which is 1.875 plus 125 equals 2 inches. So we got a compressor spring 125 thou, which equals the same height as you see here. So we have a new set of valve springs supplied by, of course, by milling. There's the part number. These are the springs I got. So let's put it into our spring pressure so we can get a reading. And like I said, we're gonna have to drop it 125 thou, subtract from the 2 inches. Here we go. So now you can see, like I'm moving this, it doesn't start until we hit 2 inches. Watch this. Okay, there we go. 100, 10, 20, 125. If you take a good look at the spring pressure, we went down 125 thou. So we have it installed height right now, 1.875 equals 100 pounds. So we're off about 20 pounds. If you can see, I'm looking for 120 plus on the seat. You know, I just made a reading. I got it 1.875 or 1.870. It's close enough. So now the spring is almost good enough, but I need to add 20 more pounds. So how do we do that? This is where the shims come in, right here. You add a shim, and of course, it compresses the spring some more and gives us more pressure. So let's go 125 plus 60 thou and see what it gives us. And here we go. So we go 125 install height. Now we go 60 thou more. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. And what do we got? 120 pounds. So the 60 thou shim is exactly what I need. So this is what we're going to install. And at the same time, let's say we got a camshaft of 450, 460 lift. Now let's check our open pressure. As I'm holding it compressed at 120 foot-pounds, here we go. We're going to go to a 0.450 lift. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. So we got like 260 pounds. Am I correct? 260. And you want to make sure there's no coil bind. Coil bind is, if you look between the coils, there's more than 60 thou. You see that? When you don't have 60 thou in there, you put a filler gauge. And there you go. See that? It fits in there. 60 thou fits, no problem. So I know we're not going to have any coil bind whatsoever. So we're good. If it's below 60 thou, forget, the spring's not good enough. In this case, with my 60 thou shim, the pressure I'm looking for is perfect. So now we got our installed height. So this is what I do now. Let me show you guys. If you guys could check all these numbers, this is something I measure on every individual valve, because sometimes, you know, you might need one shim thicker than the other. So I try to balance them all out even at 1.875 or 1.800 or whatever the number could be. So now, this is what I do. I'll put the shim on. You see when you have this? That's a 60 thou shim. This side up. So this is the side I use to put on the bottom. I put grease there. The reason is, when I turn the head over to put the valve spring, that this stays stuck on the cylinder and it doesn't fall. Here it is, like so. Okay, like this, you see? Now, I put the umbrella, like so. Then I take my Viton seal. I spiral it on like so. I push it all the way down. Take out the, what do you call this? Just slide in the seal, you don't damage the seal. You slide it over. If you can take a look here, there's grooves. That might damage the seal as you go down with the seal. So now we got the shim in place, seal in place. Let's put this away. Now, I also install a little bit of grease on where the locks go. I'll show you why. Here we go. So the spring is good. Let me put this away. We don't need this anymore. Now we have our locks, our retainer. Flip the head. Let me show you what I do. Here we go. I'm going to try to do it on the far end. Let me get my spring compressor. This is a tool just for installing valve springs. Okay. We go like this, like so. You can see why I put grease on the shim. Look, it's stuck up there, it doesn't fall. Now, I'm going to show you the reason why I put grease where the keepers go. I do this, like so. I squeeze the cylinder head, I tilt it up, and I put the one lock on. You have to make sure that the locks stay in place. Like so. Got the half on. And we just put it in place. If you guys take a look, here we go. Oh, it's in place. Okay, now look at this. You see that? This is the reason why I put grease on the keepers, on the groove of the valve. So the locks don't fall out of place. So then I let go of the tool, like so. Let me put this away. Let's see. Is it in place? There we go. Put the light away. And there you have it. I'm just going to tap the spring in place, make sure. Here we go. I've used the other ones. So there you have it, you guys. So now, there she is. So now all our valves, our springs are in place. The valve guides were in good shape. They didn't have to do no valve guides in this one. I got all new valve springs from Melling, keepers as well, and the retainers are the same retainers from the factory. Also, when you're using the valve spring compressor, you always have the valve on this side and the spring on the other side away from you. So if anything lets go, it goes that way, not towards you. That's a safety precaution. So now, before I install my cylinder head, I wanted to show you guys something. Now, we have the timing chain installed, but before I put the timing chain cover, you got to make sure that when you have the timing cover in place, you want to make sure your harmonic balancer and your marker on the balancer is on the top dead center on your marker on your timing chain cover. And for that reason, I didn't put the cylinder head on for two reasons. One, I could show you the valve spring installation, and the second is you got to make sure the piston is top dead center. Here we go. Okay, now I just want to put the engine straight up. Give me a sec. Like so. Now I'm just about, you know that we installed the timing chain straight up. Top gear at 6 o'clock, lower gear at 12 o'clock. So this is what we got to do now. First of all, let's put our piston top dead center. When you have your damper and you're doing the timing on your engine, you want to make sure that that piston top dead center and the marker is exactly 0. So when you adjust your timing, you know if it's 50 degrees, 40 degrees, 30 degrees, it's exactly where it is. So let's get started. I'm going to put my piston top dead center, like so. Here we go. But let me tell you something. First, let's put the timing cover or harmonic balancer, and then we'll see the mark falls in place with the piston top dead center. I'm going to show you guys another trick. Here's my timing cover. Here's the front crankshaft seal. This is metal. This is metal. So now we're going to press this on, okay? But a lot of people don't do this. I want to show you guys. I'll show you a little trick. This is what I do. I take a little bit of silicone and I do this. Look at this. sometimes you got a leak between the seal and the timing cover because it's a metal to metal contact. Did you see that silicone I put there? I'm going to take the seal and I'm going to, of course, compress it on. Here we go. A lot of guys don't do this, but I do it all the time. I take this, I'll get a hammer. Let me put this away. Where's my hammer? Maybe I'll try this one. Okay, here we go. Let me see if I can get it down. Here we go. And I know now between the seal and the timing cover there will be no leak. Then we get a little bit of grease, like so. Okay, you lubricate the seal. All right. Now, it's a huge timing cover, you guys. Now you're gonna say the gasket makes the seal. Yes, the block is perfectly straight, but the timing chain cover is an old piece. If you take a good look, you can see some waves in it, okay? So now, like I always say, the gasket makes the seal, but in some cases, you gotta know what you're doing. So what we do is we take a rag. I'm gonna show you why. A paper gasket is pretty thin, right? So just to make sure, I'm gonna show you guys something. I'm gonna clean this very well because I'm gonna put silicone, very thin layer of silicone to make up the wobbly of the timing chain cover. If you guys take a good look, the gasket is so thin. Now I'm not using a glue. You use a glue, you need a chisel and a hammer to remove the cover. And I use a thin layer of silicone, white stuff, that when you want to remove it, it's easy to remove. You don't have to use a chisel and hammer. And it cleans off easy, but it'll prevent it from leaking oil. So here we go. Here we go. Don't worry, it doesn't need much. Like so. And this is the very important part. Where the dowel pins are, always put silicone around it. Like so, 360 degrees. Very thin layer, you don't need a lot. The most important thing is make sure there's no oil and it won't leak on you. And this is 360 degrees. Now, give me a second. And of course you want a good seal over there in the front edge. When that timing chain turns, there's a lot of oil sprayed against that gasket. And here we go again. Let me take a little bit of acetone. We'll take some acetone. Clean it over here also, like so. Now I can remove my bolt that I don't need to turn anymore to install the pistons because we're going to use the original bolt to put back in place. So I'm going to take my impact, take it out. Okay, we got the slinger, don't forget the slinger. And of course, we're gonna put a thin layer of silicone over here. And I know you guys are probably saying, Nick, you told me the gasket makes a seal. Yes, but it's a used wobbly cover. So you know what? It's in good shape, but it's not perfect. So let's put a little bit of silicone and be on the safe side. And there we go. Very thin, you don't need a lot. Like so. As long as there's no oil, it will not leak. As long as you clean it, you're good. There are times I've seen the timing chain cover leak right away where the dowel pins are. So that is the reason why I put silicone 360 degrees. So let's take our gasket made by Felpro, like so, put it on, line it up. Let me get my timing cover now. I get a couple of bolts, get them ready. Here we go. Gotta be careful you don't hit the seal on the crankshaft. like so. This is the original tummy cover to the engine. Whoever had it removed, they used a screwdriver and they kind of mangled it up a bit, so I straightened it out as much as I can, but still, I put a thin layer of silicone anyways. The 4 lower bolts are 9/16 and the 4 upper bolts are 1/2 inch. Imagine that, you put a whole engine together and you got an oil leak. After all, this is going to be detailed, it's going to be painted, and I want to make sure I don't take it apart for any reason. So here we go. Let me tighten these bolts up. You notice that I've lubricated the timing chain when I had it installed, just to let you know. Okay, let me get my other socket. Now this engine belongs to me, you know, and I usually torque whatever you want. But the thing is, you know, I've done so many of these engines, I don't need to need a torque wrench, but all the specifications here are in the shop manual, okay? You know, after doing so many of them, you know how much to torque it down with your own hands. Now, let's put on the harmonic balancer. This one absorbs the vibrations in an engine. You know, like when the engine is balanced, it's balanced with the flywheel, it's balanced with the crank damper or harmonic balancer. It's to absorb vibrations. So, let's install it. Like so. You know, if this was a Chevrolet, I wouldn't be doing this, because there's a tool that Chevrolet has to install the damper onto the crank, because it's press fit. But on the Chrysler, they got such a big bolt that this is the original bolt that comes with the engine right here. Here it is. Now this is the genuine bolt that comes with the engine. It's a grade 5, it's a pretty strong bolt. So what I did, I went to a hardware store and I bought a long bolt. And I'm going to use this as a puller. And it's being such a big bolt, and I could press on the damper with not a problem. So here we go, like so. So I take an impact. Tighten it up, like so. Okay, now take it off. Okay. Now we're going to put the original bolt back on. Now I'm just going to get some Loctite. Now this bolt is going to be torqued down to 135 foot-pounds. But I've noticed in the past, even though I torque them down 135 foot-pounds, they do come loose once in a while. And I've used 2 different torque wrenches and they both gave me the same issue. So what I do is I torque them down maybe 145 or so, 145 foot-pounds. So this is it now, look at this. I'm gonna do this, like so. Let's tighten it up. Okay, I'm going to take a torque wrench, we'll torque it down to 140 foot-pounds, but I got to jam the crank first. 140. I'll go 5 more pounds in specifications. There we go, 140, get my socket. So I'm going to take a piece of wood. I'm going to use it as to lock it in between the counterweights on the block, so I can hold the crank from turning while I torque down the harmonic balancer bolt. Here we go. Let me just catch it somewhere underneath. There we go. Let's put it on. Tightening mode. Where's the counterweights? Let's see if this works. Here we go. Okay, so we're good. So now, this is the moment I wanted to tell everybody what you check for. Here we go. Now we have our dial indicator. Now we want to make sure when that bit is top dead center, that marker has to be exactly on the 0 mark on the timing cover. A lot of people don't know that because sometimes some people who work on an engine, they go, Nick, my engine works best at 50 degrees. But is it really accurate? Is it really working at 50 degrees? Or maybe they got a wrong reading. For this reason, you got to be sure. Here we go. Put the piston top dead center. Look at that dial indicator. I guess the top dead center is right there. Perfect. Now, let's check our mark. Is it at the 0 mark? There's my point right there. There's my point. It lines up perfect. Top dead center, top dead center. There's your 0 mark. Here we go. Let me explain to you guys. That's our 0 mark. Now let me lower the crank. Look at that. See that scratch on the damper? That's our marker telling us top dead center. Look here now. There it is. You see that? That's what I'm talking about. That has to line up with that top dead center. So as you guys can see in this case, it lines up perfect. That is the reason why I wanted to show you guys. A lot of guys don't do this, but you have to know this because when you do the timing, when you're at 36 or 38 degrees, you know you're exactly. Okay, now, all that said and done, what do you want to do today? Let's put the other cylinder head on. Okay, I got a shim gasket. I'm running out of shim gaskets. They're 20 thou thick with a steel head gasket. And I'm going to spray some copper spray, which is made by Permatex, which I have right here. This is what I use with a steel shim head gasket. It's a copper spray because this is the steel shim gasket. It's not Teflon coated or paper gasket or chromatic. Shake it up. I get my gasket over here. This is the steel shim. I'm running out from Chrysler. I've had this for a few years. So let me spray it. Let's go outside, spray it. Then we'll bring it back and put it on. But before I do that, let me take a good look. There's no oil stains whatsoever on the cylinder block. Again, I use acetone like so. We're going to do the cylinder head like this. Because you know, and by the way, I just wanted to say, I planed these cylinder heads about 10th thou just to make sure they're perfectly straight. I didn't plane them down for power because I just wanted to do a factory rebuild. Am I looking for horsepower? Not really. I just want the factory 375 horsepower. And it's not designed to go racing or anything. And I'm putting this engine together as if you guys were doing this job at home. Now, if this was a racing engine, of course, it would be a little bit different. But I'm going with my most common viewers, how to do this thing at home. Okay. Here we go. As you guys can see, I did not deck the block. These pistons are about 25 thou below the deck. Factory is about 20 on a Magnum. Okay, I'm gonna go outside, go in the corner of the garage, spray my gasket, and I'll be right back. Let's go outside. We'll take a few minutes. Here we go. I'm going to go in the corner of my shop as I don't want any of these fumes on any of the cars. Again, we are working at night. It's after hours. I work after hours on my own engine because during working hours, and you spend many nights working on customers' cars and engines. But in the meantime, I'm staying tonight to do my engine. Here we go. I put a couple of layers, get a little bit tacky, like so. And this is pretty tacky stuff, you guys. And this copper spray is for steel head gaskets. Well, you could also use it on other sheet metal gaskets, but okay, I put one thin layer there. Let me turn it over. Let me do this side. I'm going to do 2 layers on each side. You know, I've been waiting 5 years to finish this engine. I finally got it going, and I did say many years ago that I'm going to show it off how I assemble it as much as I can, so you viewers could see what it takes to build an engine. There's a lot of time involved in cleaning parts, measuring parts, and of course, make sure everything fits correctly. Sometimes you order parts, it takes time, back order, or custom work, or whatever. Okay, let's put our second layer. Got a little bit tacky, and here we go. It's very rare that a big block Mopar B engine gets a blown head gasket. Very rare. People say, hey, my head gasket's leaking. But you guys, it's very rare, let me tell you. I think we're ready. Okay, let's go. Put this in. Let's go install it on the cylinder block. There we go. Now, before I install the cylinder head, you got to make sure that you clean the head bolts thoroughly, like right here. I want to take a show you guys. Right here. Some people agree, some people do not agree. I'm going to show you what I do. You know, they say you hydro lock. No, you don't. What I do is I put a little bit of oil, let it drain for a while, like so you can get good torque readings. See that? Just a little bit of oil. Doesn't take much. Let it leak down towards the threads, like this. No, it doesn't take much. I'm just using regular motor oil for this. This is say 30. Let it drain down. So I got the cylinder head ready. You've seen what it takes. I'm going to put the cylinder head on. Here we go. Okay. Okay, we got it in. I'm just going to take one small bolt just for security measures. There we go. Okay. Going to wait a little while. We are going to put all the head bolts in place. There's 17 bolts on the cylinder head on a B engine. I've been waiting a long period since I bought the car, and I wanted to build the original engine to the car. You know, build it. Doesn't matter if I put it in the car or not. I just wanted to assemble it, put it all together with all the details the way it came from the factory. And by the way, the engine in my car is another 440, and it was detailed exactly the way it came from the factory, like the way I'm going to finish this one. Here, let me show you an example. Like this here. This goes on a head bolt. This is head bolt number 3. This is something that comes from Chrysler that holds the spark plug wires in place. If you guys take a look on the other side, as you can see, I got my heat shield for cylinder number 6 and 8, and of course, my spark plug wire here. So this is going to be a detailed engine the way it came from the factory with exhaust manifolds. Okay, so let's start putting our engine together like so. Let's start putting our head bolts in. Okay, here we go. Man, it feels good, so I can start getting to work on my engine. It feels so great. Yeah, there's a lot of bolts on the cylinder head, let me tell you. So here we go. All right. Let me tighten it down now. Here we go. On this side, there's no heat shield. There is one for cylinder number 7, but that's on the exhaust manifold. That's another date, another time I'll show you guys. Now it's starting to look like an engine. And there's also a sequence when you tighten down a cylinder head. Let me just show you guys for an example. You start from the center and then you go outboards equal, okay? Okay, let's torque him down. I'm going to bring it down to 2 steps. We're going to end up 75 foot-pounds. I'm going to start with him at about 55. And here we go. This one. Now we'll go to 75. Oh, you know, you don't want to stretch the bolt. You know, you got to bring it down in steps. See, you know, like sometimes you could go 3 steps. I go twice. I brought it down to 55. Now I'm going to go to 75 and finish it off at 75. You know, you usually want bolt to go down straight down to 75 foot-pounds. Meanwhile, the head is still floating. That first few bolts you're using, you're stretching them. Here we go. 75 foot-pounds. Then, this is what I do. Just to make sure I didn't miss anything, I go in a straight line, like so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There we go. So now we've got the cylinder head in place. I'm going to turn it over, and now we're going to install the oil pan with the window tray. Okay, here we go. Now we clean it again. I put back my original strainer, and it's good. It's in good shape. I did get one by Melling, but I don't need to use it. It's good enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean it, and I'm going to show you how we install the pan gasket. We start by making sure all the surfaces are clean. We did the rear seal. I also wanted to say I do not have the oil pump yet because I had it in stock for myself, and I want to thank Melling for helping us out building this engine and supplying me everything. I wanted to mention that I used it on another engine, and now putting my engine together, I realized I don't have it in stock. After all, they gave me everything I needed, but I totally forgot the oil pump. I used it up and I did not reorder it. Okay, then here you guys go. Look at this. See the timing chain cover gasket? When it sticks out, do this. There you go. You make it flush. Then we make sure it's clean. Then I'm going to tell you where's the only place we put silicone. Okay, here we go. This is a brand new pan. Okay, this is a brand new pan. Then I'm going to put some guides. A lot of people don't know this, but here we go. These are something that helps me keep the pan gasket in place, okay? I'll show you in a few seconds. Okay, now we're going to get our silicone. I'm going to let the acetone dry a bit. I'm going to tell you what we do. Now, I don't apply silicone everywhere on the gasket. I let the gasket do the seal. It's a brand new pan. It's perfectly straight. The block is straight, so I know it's not going to leak oil. Here we go. You pick it right here, where there's a bridge, like so. Not as much. Not much. Look at this. Okay? Let me just show you guys. Here we go. Just spread it out a bit, like so. That's all we need. Okay, now we take our gasket. I love the gaskets that come in from Felpro. Here they are. But I've got a few left over from Mopar Performance, which I have them in an open pack. So what I'll do is, they were all crumpled up in the box, so I used some weight on it overnight so that it can flatten out by the time I install it. So here we go. You do this. There we go. That's it. No more silicone. Then we get our window tray, which is over here. This is the window tray. I got a brand new one. Okay, now we get our other gasket. No silicone, just a gasket. I've done this hundreds and hundreds of times. I never had an issue. Now you can see this gasket is bent, but I'm sure it's going to flatten out when I install the oil pan. So let me get my oil pan. Here it is. It's a 6-quart Hemi oil pan that comes on 446 packs and also on the 440 Magnums. There it is, brand new. It's got a little baffle there, and here we go. There we go. So now we've got our oil pan, window tray, and our 2 gaskets. All we need is a set of fresh bolts that hold down the oil pan, like so. I got these from Mopar Performance many years ago. They no longer sell them anymore by Mopar Performance. Here they are. There's 20 bolts. I'm going to put them all in place. Don't forget, this engine is going to get a nice coat of orange paint after when it's fully assembled. When I get the oil pump, put that in there in place too. Now I noticed on my rear retainer, there's a little hole punctured because somebody put a long bolt at one time. So what I do in this case is I take a little sealer, like so, and I coat the bolts with a little bit of sealer, okay? And these go only on the rear retainer, where the aluminum retainer is for the rear seal, that's all. The rest, no worries. Like so. Now, start bringing it down. And of course, I tighten them down with the gun. There's only a few pounds. I'm going to use my own muscles to tighten down the balance of the bolt. I know how to do it. I'm going to do it just like that by my hand. I go by the feel. It's worked for me all the time. If you guys, if it's the first time you guys are building this, look at the book. It's got all the torque specs you want. So you don't over tighten and squeeze the gasket or leave them too loose and then the bolts come off on their own. After doing it 500 times, I'm sure you know how much to do it. So And the last bolts I tighten on the oil pan are the two for the aluminum retainer. So you use the cast iron from the block to compress the gasket, and you don't use the aluminum, which is soft metal, strip the retainer. So that is the reason why I'm doing those bolts last. I've never had an oil pan leak on me, never. Been very lucky with that. And the gasket's pretty thick, you know, for the pan. So you should be pretty good. I also wanted to say that the strainer and the oil pan should have a 1/4 inch clearance between the strainer and the oil pan, which I've measured before. You don't put it on a pan and you push it down hitting the strainer, because that will be a starvation of oil when you run the engine. 1/4 inch is more than enough. And there you have it. Got the pan in place. Then I got to start putting in the valve train, the lifters, the push rods, the rocker shafts, the rocker arms. Then after that, we're going to prime it. Once I get my oil pump, I'm going to put it together, put some oil in it. I'm going to tell you how you prime an engine. Then if everything goes well, we start putting our valve covers on, intake manifold, oil pump drive gear, and then we assemble it to the finished touch. And then after that, onto the dyno. Just keep watching. We're going to do as much as I can, like I told you, on my matching engine to my Kawasaki Challenger. So for now, I'm going to call it a night, because I'm going to go home. We'll be back, and we're going to finish it off. And I'll make sure you viewers see every little nut and bolt out as much as I can do to put it together for you guys. Thanks for watching.
Make sure you're subscribed to Nick's Garage for all of this rebuild series, culminating with full throttle testing in the dyno room. Don't miss a thing.
And you guys, if you look down below the video, we have a whole bunch of merchandise that you guys can buy. So whatever you like, buy it, love it, wear it, and enjoy it. And help spread the word of Nick's Garage. And if you have some time, check out our Patreon page. We have extra content, and you guys can watch it and take it from there. And we'll see you next time.